Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today's case just happened on April 4, 2023. 33-year-old tech industry titan and founder of Cash App, Bob Lee, was brutally slain under very strange circumstances. From the location and the manner in which he was found to some shocking toxicology reports and suspicious text messages, I'll be covering every aspect of this baffling case. And folks, it is a messy one. So sit back and relax. Let's get right into it. Let's start with Lee's creation, Cash App. For anyone unfamiliar, Cash App is a mobile payment service akin to Venmo and PayPal. It allows users to transfer funds easily with a simple tap of a button. Created in 2013 and available in the US and the UK, Cash App is truly about as user-friendly and convenient as it gets. Due to its accessibility and convenience, the company experienced rapid growth and success. In the fall of 2021, only 8 years after its creation, the company reported an incredible 70 million annual users and 1.8 billion in gross profit. I do not know about you, but that is more money than I can imagine, and in one place. Bob Lee was rightfully reaping the rewards of his work. As a software engineer that played a pivotal role in creating Cash App, he had an estimated net worth of over 10 million at the time of his death. Again, we are talking about a lot of money. San Francisco, located a short 40 miles from Silicon Valley, is a hub for tech innovation. Whether a person is simply interested in the world of tech and looking to join a startup, or is already well established in their tech career, San Francisco is the place to be, and unsurprisingly is the exact place Bob Lee made home. By the age of 33, this extremely intelligent and highly driven young man was established enough to use the money he had made in the industry and invest in tech startups that he believed that he could truly change the world for the better. He would not stay in San Francisco permanently, though. After reaching much success in his career, Lee did get married and had 2 kids with his then wife. Unfortunately, things did not work out in his marriage, and he ended up moving away to the Bay Area in Miami, where his father lived. Now, Miami is no stranger to the world of tech either. In fact, it is rapidly growing as another tech hub and a great city to be in for those who have that kind of a career goal. Lee had set out to accomplish splitting his time cross-country between San Francisco and Miami. Lee was truly at the top of his game. Sadly, Bob Lee's life was cut short in April of this year when his body was found on a sidewalk outside of a residential building in the tech-savvy part of town in San Francisco at 3 a.m. He had suffered multiple stab wounds and was rushed to the hospital upon discovery, but sadly passed away in transit. His family, friends, and colleagues were shocked and confused. They couldn't understand how or why such a smart, successful guy who, according to them, was also selfless and kind, was murdered and left for dead. Was this a random violent crime? A tragic case of mistaken identity? Or was something far more sinister at play? The fact that Lee was found with his wallet and phone on his person raised even more questions. Little did everyone realize these questions would be the first of many. Upon completion of Lee's autopsy, toxicology reports revealed the white stuff, ketamine and alcohol in his system at his time of death. The illicit substances were a mere piece of his fateful night. However, not the cause of his death. Surveillance footage from businesses on the street showed Lee walking, staggering, falling over and clutching his stab wounds that punctured his heart and his lungs. And he was attempting to flag down passing cars asking for help, lifting his shirt and showing that he was gravely injured. Tragically, no one stopped. Desperately trying to get help, Lee called 911 screaming, "Help! Someone stabbed me!" This call prompted officers to rush to the scene where Lee was found. 9 days after the murder, police came out and said that they had arrested a suspect. They had arrested 38-year-old Nima Momini, confidently naming him as the killer. Police went on to say that they had recovered a 4-inch kitchen knife at the crime scene, covered in blood. In a shocking turn of events, detectives also revealed that this had not been a random act. Lee and Momini knew each other. In fact, they had at least one thing in common: careers in the tech industry. As it turns out, this was not their only commonality. A key witness and a decade-long close friend of Lee shed a lot of light on the case by sharing what he had seen and heard just 24 hours before the murder. This is where the story gets a bit complicated. According to the witness, he and Lee had been hanging out and drinking with a female friend, whom they had both known for several years. The witness revealed that this female friend was married and stated he did not know if Lee and the woman were romantically involved. At some point in the evening, Lee and the witness decided to move locations from an apartment to Lee's hotel room. And while they did, they invited their female friend to join, but she declined the invitation and decided to stay there. Later in the evening, the witness observed Lee on the phone having a conversation with their female friend's brother, none other than Nima Momini. From what he could gather, the witness said that Momini had picked up his sister from the first location, the apartment, where the three had been hanging out earlier in the evening, and was questioning Lee regarding his sister and whether or not she had been doing substances or anything inappropriate. Lee had naturally said no, and upon ending the call, the two men changed locations once again. From the hotel room back to the apartment before the witness told his friend farewell around 12:30 a.m. The witness's statement doesn't end there. However, the next day, the witness called their female friend and inquired if Lee had gone to her apartment at any point after the witness had left Lee's apartment. She said yes for just a second, but that she fell asleep at some point and couldn't say for certain when he left. That is a very strange statement, if you ask me. Thanks to surveillance footage from the female friend's apartment, we know that her brother Nima arrived at her place around 8:30 p.m. 4 hours later at 12:39, Lee arrives. Just before 2:30 a.m., footage shows Bob Lee and Nima Momini in the elevator together before going through the lobby and getting in Momini's BMW. Momini drove to the 400 block of Main Street, the very same place that Lee was discovered with stab wounds. The pair can be seen standing on the sidewalk for a few minutes when Momini appears to make a sudden movement towards Lee before turning and walking away. Immediately following this interaction, Lee can be seen walking in the opposite direction, clearly injured. Momini is even seen in the footage stopping along a fence exactly where the police recovered the knife. The next time he is picked up on camera, he is speeding away in his BMW. Now, I know what you're thinking. This seems pretty cut and dry, and where can we go from here? But text messages found on Lee's phone would complicate the case further. Momini's sister had sent Lee a strange and suspicious text. "Just wanted to make sure you're doing okay. because I know Nima came way down hard on you. And thank you for being such a classy man handling it with class. Love you, selfish pricks. An odd text. An odd text under these circumstances, to say the least. I don't understand what that little sweet name pricks would be. I don't think that's very fun for me. But anyways, I digress. Momini's defense attorney has taken a pretty brazen approach, possibly exaggerating the substances found in Lee's body and essentially blaming the murder victim for his own demise, despite the fact that it was allegedly done at the hands of her own client. She is both respected and calculated in her craft, and perhaps that's the recipe for the successful attorney, but she may actually be onto something with her accusations against Lee. This is where the case takes an even more bizarre twist. According to the Wall Street Journal, for several years before his death, Lee was part of an underground party scene filled with recreational drugs and casual sex called the Lifestyle. Friends of Lee have stated that, in fact, he was romantically involved with Momini's married sister, as well as women that Momini had himself dated. As if this doesn't complicate matters enough, those closest to Lee have very different opinions on how he lived his life. Some, such as his ex-wife, deny that he was ever a partier, stating ketamine may have been administered to him in low dosage by a doctor as an antidepressant, which is legal and becoming an increasingly common form of treatment, while others say this underground party scene involving sex, drugs, and alcohol was a huge part of Lee's life, describing him as a highly functional thrill seeker with funds and power to chase the high that he wanted. These conflicting claims beg the question, was Bob Lee living a double life? And did the secret life get him killed? DNA testing of the knife provided some pretty damning evidence against Nima Momini. Lee's DNA was identified on the blade, and Nima's DNA was identified on the handle. Nima Momini has pleaded not guilty, and his entire immediate family has hired their own legal counsel. It seemingly looks as if Nima Momini could have certainly allegedly committed this murder. The relationship between him and Lee, the timeline, the evidence all point to him, but why? What was his motive? We definitely haven't heard the end of this case, and I will be covering it as it develops. What do you think happened? Is this case so straightforward that the mysterious details of Bob's life doesn't matter? Or do you think that those details make everything all the more complicated and suspicious? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Plus, did you know the number one reason people do not commit murder? It's because they don't want to go to jail. So just don't do it, guys. And with that, I will see you in the next video when we find out who killed who.